Hi again everyone, Jeff Purishot here for Swish 710 Bowling, and I've got a little bit of a different kind of video for you guys today. I recently attended a Storm Matchmaker down here in South Florida at Green Acres Bowl. Thank you very much, by the way, to Chris Arbor at Green Acres for hosting this event. We all had a great time, and we appreciate you allowing us to throw some shots with all these new Storm Rotogrip and 900 Global Balls that you see here in the picture. We all had a great time. There was also a bit of a mini clinic that occurred at the event, and you can see Carlos Tabone, Storm staffer, was along with Ralph Solon giving some instruction to the attendees. But we all had a great time. We got to throw a whole bunch of different new bowling balls, and you can see a bunch from here in the pictures. One point I just want to make, I'm so sorry. They had an Infinite Physics here, Storm Infinite Physics, and I completely forgot to throw it for this video. By the time I realized, I was on the highway home. So I'm so sorry. I do have another Infinite Physics video that I've posted on my channel, so go check that one out. But I did throw some other stuff, so let's see what else I threw. The first ball I threw was the Rotogrip Gem. This ball, when it's new, it's pretty dull, but you can see this one's a little lane shined up just from use at other matchmakers. So I knew it wasn't going to hook at my toes. I didn't really know what to expect, because I don't usually throw balls that are this strong. So the first ball I threw and the second ball I threw, that's not a gem. That's actually my personal dark code going down the lane. I wanted to throw it as kind of a test ball, a control ball, so you guys can see what the house shot is like here. It's very oily. This is a very oily house shot. So now you see what my dark code does. So here's a couple of shots with the gem, and I thought that one was okay, but it's just a little too much circle. So I tried throwing it with a little more direct, not getting it out as far, and I moved left when I did it, but there's just way too much volume here. So I moved back to the right a bunch, and I thought I got it to the right place, but it just still wasn't enough coming off it. You can see I almost actually left the 5-pin. So I realized, okay, I'm throwing it too hard. I need to move right. So I did that. And I slowed down and I moved right. And now the ball looks fantastic. It revs up in the right place. The thing about the gem that I noticed, it's a very long transition from when it starts the hook and when it finishes making its move. It's not very angular. It's very controlled. It's smooth, but it keeps revving. You can see it goes through the rack. It doesn't really lose any revs. It's super continuous. So you just got to make sure that you're not giving it too much launch angle towards the gutter, because if you do, it might not get back enough unless there's enough dry or unless you're throwing it slow enough. So if this is the kind of ball that fits your game, I can see people liking this ball an awful lot. The second ball I threw was the 900 Global Reality Check, which is a hybrid version of the Reality Core. The Reality Solid, I never threw one, never really had one. I always thought it would be a little too slow for me in the back, but I did have an altered Reality. But watch this shot with the Reality Check. I mean, it's like it hits the dry and it's like someone kicks it, goes left. This is a super angular hybrid ball. As I was saying, I had an altered Reality. I didn't really like it, I'll be honest. Even though it was a pearl, I always thought it was a little too slow off the back end and it rolled a little too forward. And you can see it's a shiny ball. Once the lane shines up, you get in the heavy oil. Maybe you leave a 5-pin, but this ball isn't. It comes dull, but it does lane shine up a bit. It doesn't like the oil once it lane shines up and it's kind of shining like this, but you throw it out to the dry and this thing corners. I was super impressed by how angular. This is one of the most angular asymmetric balls I've ever thrown, and I'm not exaggerating. Every time I got it to the dry, it was like someone just kicked it left, which is not a reaction that I see very much out of asymmetric balls. So I'm definitely thinking about putting this one in my bag at some point in the near future for sure. I love this ball. Next, I threw the Rotogrip RST-X3. This is a hybrid. The RST-X1 was also a hybrid, and the X2 was a pearl. But the difference between the X1 and the X3, the X1, from what I understand, was 2 parts solid, 1 part pearl. This is 2 parts pearl, 1 part solid. And it shows because it definitely comes off the dry a lot harder than my X1 ever did. And this ball is drilled a little stronger than I generally drill bowling balls in the pin position. I don't like balls that flare a whole lot because I find that they never really turn in the back end. They just kind of flare, spin. This thing flared a bunch, but you can see it hooks, and it comes off the spot. So I'm actually considering, if I were to get one of these, drilling it kind of the same way. I like the way this ball rolls. It had a lot of power, as you can see there. It was smooth but still angular. Had a lot of pop in the back end. It's definitely a ball that I could circle the lane with, especially with that stronger pin position and stronger mass bias placement. I like this ball a lot, and if you remember where my dark code was, I was probably about an arrow and a half to the right of this. This is a big hooking ball, don't be fooled, and it likes to roll on the back end. So this is a great complement to the X1 and the X2, absolutely. The next ball I threw was the Wolverine Dark Moss, or as I like to call it now, the Wolver Green. And I'm going to say that this is probably an unfair showing of what the ball can do because of how this ball is drilled with the pin down under the bridge. It does not flare very much with this layout, absolutely not. It's very smooth throughout the whole lane, very circly. And I had the original Wolverine and the blue one, and that thing was very angular off the spot, but this ball just not very angular with that layout and with the 4K fast on it. Very smooth. It wants to be played more up the lane, I think. When I tried to circle it, I had to make sure I got it to the dry, and I had to make sure I gave it time to roll. So, but unfortunately, this was the only Wolverine Dark Moss that they had there at the event. If they had some with the pin up, I obviously would have thrown that one. But you know, you gotta throw what they've got there, and this is the only one of these they had for whatever reason. So I threw it, and I liked it. I mean, it was good, but it's not what I expect out of a Wolverine. But I'm blaming it entirely on the layout. But this ball, with that very weak layout, it didn't really flare very much. It wasn't very active. So I'm anxious to see what these are like in people's hands when they can actually drill them the way they want and put much stronger pin-up layouts on them, because I think it has a chance to be a really, really good, dependable symmetric ball and a replacement for the original Wolverine. So next I threw the 900 Global Zen Soul. This is a hybrid Zen. So the Zen was a Pearl, the Zen Master was solid. This one's hybrid. So it's got a little bit of kick in the back more than the Zen Master, but it's a lot smoother than the original Zen, and that's absolutely what this ball did. Despite the first shot, this was the first shot I threw with it being this smash 8-pin. You can see it kind of blends the two reactions. The Zen core, for being symmetric, rolls very forward in the back end. It actually rolls a lot like an asymmetric ball. And sometimes the Pearl one that I have, personally, I have a Zen, and sometimes it's a little too forward in the back end when it comes off the spot pretty hard. So I'm not able to circle it as much. So this ball allowed me to do that, but still, when I got it in the oil a little too much like this one, it just didn't get there enough. But again, this is a very heavy oil house shot in the middle. All that oil is still there. So had to get it to the dry, but this is a ball that I could pitch to the dry, and it did definitely come off of it. So you had to make sure that you got it to the right place, and you didn't catch too much of the flood in the middle, because it's not a very big hooking ball. It's a good medium kind of benchmark piece. If you like a little more angle on your benchmark balls, this fits that really well. The last ball I threw was the Idol Cosmos, and I'm not going to throw too many shots with this because I just did a video on the Idol Cosmos with Carlos Tabone, and I threw his for a few shots, so you can watch that video if you're more interested in the Cosmos. But I did throw it a little bit, and it's kind of the same as the one that I threw in the last video. This ball is very smooth, but it's got surface. I feel like this is a great first ball out of the bag for tournament shots, especially if you need a little punch in the back, where like a solid Idol or an Idol, like an Idol Helios, is just a little too slow off the back, and you want something that's a little more kick off the dry like that one. Then the Cosmos, I think it could be great. But you see, you can't really hook it a whole lot. It just doesn't cover that many boards. It's not a huge hooking ball. It's a good higher end medium symmetric ball. Very predictable, very smooth, very continuous. And I think if that's the kind of ball you're looking for, the Idol Cosmos can fit that bill really well. And I expect that you'll be seeing a lot of this ball out on the tour, especially the men's tour and the women's tour both. So that was my time at the Storm Matchmaker at Green Acres Bowl here in South Florida. Thanks to Chris Arbor for hosting the event at Green Acres. We really appreciate it. It's a great bowling center if you're in the area. Go bowl there, patronize them. And thanks also to Ralph Solon of Storm for coming down and bringing all these bowling balls with him for us to use. And also thanks to Carlos Tabone for putting this event together. It was a great time. I threw a lot of bowling balls. Enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the next one for sure. Until my next video, see y'all later.